Hey, this is Dave Pryor. Welcome to Drunken PM Radio. Today I'm here with Alex Sloley, all the way from the other side of the planet, where it's tomorrow. It's the future where Alex is. So, Alex, thank you for taking time out of your Monday morning.
Welcome from the future.
So, hopefully, things are brighter in the future. They're a little dark here in the U.S. sometimes right now, but we're not going to dig into that too much. We're going to talk about the Scrum Alliance Board of Elections. You're running for one of the seats. Talk about your take on how things are going, where things are, where we hope they go in the future. But if there's folks that are not familiar with you, that haven't seen you speak at conferences or read any of your stuff or seen any of your
Right.
posts, how would you explain your background and your history and how you come to this conversation?
Yeah, so my name is Alex Sloley. I'm an Agile coach. I'm currently headquartered in Sydney, but I grew up in America. I'm American. And corporate-wise, I grew up at Microsoft. So originally I'm from Seattle, and Microsoft is where I learned about Scrum and Agile ways of working. And I've been involved in the Scrum and Agile community since 2007. And I'm really passionate about it. You talked about a book. I wrote a book on the Agile community, and I do like a lot of global speaking. So my wife Sally is also an Agile coach, and both
And
of
a
our kids
Lavim
are
grad?
yeah, exactly. And then both our kids are certified Scrum Masters as well, and
That's
so
awesome.
we've integrated the whole Scrum Agile thing into our lives, like traveling, speaking, connecting with communities. So I'm really involved, and that's why I think that's why I was elected or nominated to be a potential person on the board for the Scrum Alliance.
Okay. So for folks that aren't familiar with it, every year the Scrum Alliance, I guess there's an election and 3 members from the community. I think it's 3. There's 3 seats, right, for the
Yeah, there's
community.
3 seats. Yeah,
And people get nominated and run, and then you get to participate in the board decisions and meetings and all that other stuff. Which I haven't done it for the Scrum Alliance. I did it for PMI a while back, and it's very time consuming to do that kind of stuff. It takes a lot out of your available non-work
yeah,
time and work
totally.
time, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so why are you running? Why would you put yourself through all that hassle?
Yeah, I think it's because I view it as a responsibility
Okay.
that all of us who are involved in the community can bring to bear. So another way to say it, I guess, would be giving back. I have this whole philosophy that what you're gonna do in your community is gonna compound over time. So whatever you call it, pay it forward. I think what you put into the world, it produces more of. I guess the Beatles would have said love or something like that, right?
Okay. So for
Yeah.
folks that are not engaged in like volunteering or being active in the community, one of the things that one of the ways I try to explain it is like you can go to the circus or you
Yeah.
can join the circus. And it's way more
Ah,
fun to be part of the circus and to be part of that network and have all those people that you can reach out to and build those connections. And for the board that I was on, I mean, that was an incredible learning experience. I mean, for somebody who may
right.
be thinking about it in the future, it's an awesome opportunity.
That's a
And you
great
get
metaphor. What
and you
else
get
would
to
it
serve the
be?
community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I was thinking like sometimes it is a circus, but there are other metaphors you could like if you're into ballet, maybe like
Okay.
imagine you're part of the ballet or the symphony. So that's a great metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, being part of putting on what other people consume, it's really rewarding. I mean, it feels good to give back, but the thing
Yeah.
that I think is so incredible about that is the access that you get to people and the friendships that you make and you get to nurture over decades. I mean, you've been in this space for a really long time and
Mm.
you managed to find your way to the other side of the planet and build a whole thing there too.
Yeah, it's been a
Um,
fantastic experience.
So let's talk about the current state of affairs in the Scrum and Agile community because it is like
Mm.
a dystopian dumpster fire right now. At least that's how I would characterize it. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally gone through stages of grief, and I think I've come out into the acceptance side in
Okay.
terms of like my own personal journey. So, the thing I did that kind of changed my personal mindset was I consciously made a decision to reframe my own personal thoughts about what was happening. And so I've embraced what's happening in the world as an opportunity to adapt and change and not get stuck in my own ways. So, in fact, I've been doubling down on the whole AI thing, and I've seen this happen in the Agile community over the years. This is not like the first age of Agile. We've gone through several
Yeah.
ages.
Couple
There was the
generations.
yeah, exactly. Waves, whatever you want to call them. And I think this is just the latest one. And I want to surf this tidal wave and not get crushed by it. So I'm basically doubling down into how can organizations use AI to be more effective. And I'm helping organizations do this right now. And I use my agile ways of working to help them accomplish that.
Okay. So I want to go back to something you said in the beginning and test
Mm,
this out a little bit.
yeah, yeah, sure.
My take on a lot of the struggle that we're having is that the
Mm,
people that are agile sort of had a free seat for a while because we were kind of rising up against waterfall, which was
yeah,
fish in a barrel.
right.
And now things have shifted a lot. There's been what I would characterize as a loss of faith from the business world because they weren't doing it right in the first place and
Yeah,
they've decided to do whatever. Um, but on our side of it, I feel like a lot of us, and me included, have struggled to be agile in response to the changing. And we're like, no, we have to be
right,
flexible this way, only this
right,
way.
right. I hear you. I've been thinking about that. So I recently had a conversation with a friend, and I was talking about how when I first started Scrum many years ago at Microsoft, like the global standard pretty much was 4-week sprints, because that's kind of like the maximum speed teams could run at in an iterative, incremental way,
Right.
due to like limitations in technology and all that kind of stuff. And then gradually over time, like I guess the global standard on how long a sprint is has gradually decreased, mostly supported by
Yeah.
technology. So then 4 weeks became two, and then I remember my first 1 week team, which is around 2011. And since then, I mean, I've been doing like half day sprints.
Half
And
day.
in the world,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. In the world I'm seeing right now with AI,
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like 1 day sprints or less, which kind of could fundamentally change like what a sprint looks like. I mean, do you really need a daily scrum when you're doing like a 1 day
A one
sprint?
day sprint. Probably not. Probably
Right.
not.
So
That
it changes how things happen.
And what you're just for the folks that haven't been through that experience, what you're talking
Yeah,
about requires, I would characterize it as a very heightened level of skill and discipline if you're going to break your work down
that's
into
right.
pieces. Like,
That's right.
I interviewed John Cutler one time, and he said that when his team couldn't deliver in 2 weeks, he switched to 1 day. And I was like, oh my
That's right.
gosh, it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
can't make
That's
it
the
small
whole
enough to finish in 10 days. Let's make it
well,
small enough to finish in 8 hours.
I
That's
mean,
hard.
that's the whole shock method. And I bet if you talk to him more, he probably was able to work it out with the team somehow. In other words, they figured out how to accomplish it, but that it required that shock to get
That
them to the
constraint.
point
Yeah.
to figure it out. And I think that's happening right now globally.
Okay. So there's a lot of practitioners like you, like John Cutler,
Mm,
other people that
yeah,
have developed a level of Michael Phelps level ability with coaching with teams. There's teams that are super high performing. What
right.
I have noticed over the past year and a half is there's a lot of organizations out there who never really had the discipline to do traditional project management. So Agile or some form of Agile or
Mm,
Scrum seemed like, oh, this is great. We can do
yeah,
whatever we want now. And they
yeah,
didn't really
yeah,
do
yeah.
that with any discipline either.
Right.
And I am on my third organization now where people have gone back to planning in Excel, which I'm just like,
Yeah.
why? Why would you do that? Um, it's like we lost the abilities that we had before. So how do we get those back? Like how do you create that spark that reignites the value of Agile for a world that forgot what it was supposed to be because they just kept doing it wrong?
Yeah, I think the answer is to use AI to help you with that. Because what AI is really good at, patterns and discipline and figuring stuff out, it
Yeah.
can guide you through the process. So imagine a world where you have a small team of developers, maybe like one, two, or three developers
Okay.
working with AI, you can put all this like structure and discipline into the AI itself. So basically, the AI kind of becomes a guide through AI development. And the AI now handles built-in work management flow. So you don't have to use tools that the developer manually goes in and creates tickets and manually adjusts them now. You can put all the rules of the game, like in Scrum, we call it the rules of the game. You
Yeah.
can put that into the AI, and the AI can guide the people through it, and it has the discipline to guide through the people through it. And then the people are the creative glue, the juice, the imagination that then guides the AI through the development. So it kind of becomes, I think, like a symbiotic relationship, and that's how I'm kind of envisioning the future. There's no daily Scrum. The review is a quick power review at the end of the day with the AI. So I can
Okay.
remember when I was at a client once and I couldn't get the executive team to practice Scrum. So I reinvented all the events. I called them like lightning retros and power reviews. And I like changed like how often they happened and how long they were. And just by doing simple things like that, I was able to engage this executive team. Now, what you would do is you would enable AI to work with developers to do the same exact thing, rapid time boxed discipline things that the AI controls, guides the devs through essentially.
Okay. And this is going to take me a second to wind into this question.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
assuming that the idea is that a developer, a single developer, is not
yeah, yeah.
they're partnering with the AI. They're using the AI almost like an instrument that you learn to play, but that plays
Exactly.
back. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there who, if you said, "Well, you don't have to create tickets anymore," they're gonna be like that dude in Office Space who was like, "I take the paper from here to the other person." Like, but you don't have to take the paper, but what does that guy do all day? So if my identity, and this is something when I interviewed Llewellyn about this when he first started using AI to write code. I'm like, "Well,
Mm,
you spent all this time mastering this craft.
yeah.
What do you do when you hand it off?" Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
how do
mean,
you respond to that?
I do that myself. So I was a developer at Microsoft and I'm developing using Claude Code today. So I don't like say, hey, Claude, write this function and write this loop. And I don't tell it the specific stuff to do, right? So
Okay.
what I'm basically doing is asking questions and I'm using my time. I kind of think of me and Claude like pair programming together. And the
Yeah.
way I envision it is like I'm asking like wondering questions. Hey, Claude, I wonder what would happen if we did it this way or this way. And Claude sometimes comes up with awesome stuff in response. Also, sometimes Claude's like, we should do it this way. And I'm like, no, 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 that way is terrible. I've done it before. That's not going to work. We should do it
Yeah.
this way, this way, this way. So my experience as a developer about like architecture and design comes into play.
Mhm.
We should use a web service for this, a database for that. And when I relay this information back to Claude, it can then execute on it really quickly. So it's kind of a back and forth conversation like between two pair of programmers who've been at it
Mhm.
a really long time and they're like coming up with technical solutions and asking questions. I think the human's better at asking like blue sky, greenfield questions. And I
Yeah.
think the computer is better at like executing really quick on known patterns.
Okay. So I want to ask about the next generation of people coming up
Yeah.
because I'll use myself as an example. So I'm a project manager and I always talk about the fact that sitting in all those meetings, learning and failing at figuring out like, what do I have to capture? How do I have to capture
Mm,
it? How do I
yeah.
stay conscious during this incredibly boring event? How do I make it not boring?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what gave me the ability to see around those corners, and I'm assuming that all your development experience, it taught you like, that's not the direction to go in, right?
Right. Yeah.
But now we have a generation, I feel like I'm the old man on the porch waving his cane, coming
Yeah.
into the workforce, and if they can get jobs doing development, they are gonna be having the AI do a lot of that legwork for them. How
Mm.
do they develop the skills and abilities that you have, or do they not even need those? So they just need completely different skills and abilities?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. So I can see
Okay.
organizations where senior level people like you and me might be guiding the Padawans and how they interact with their Claude code or whatever it is as a
Right.
programming partner. So I definitely think we can offer that guidance there. And then I think you're also right in that these new developers are going to be creating or developing new skills rather than understanding like specific rather than memorizing all the keywords of a language or all the standard functions. They're going to
Yeah.
be more conceptual and more theoretical, and so they'll be bringing that up with Claude. In fact, one could argue that because they're so detached from the construction part of programming, like the
Hmm.
keywords and the methods, that they'll actually be better at it. They'll be freed to ask questions
Oh,
that
wow. Okay.
somebody like you and I may not think to ask because we're like set in our ways.
Okay. Um, well, what about how that impacts Scrum? I mean, they've changed the mission statement. The
Yeah,
Scrum Alliance mission used to be to change the world of work.
yeah,
Now the tagline is Agile for everyone.
right.
Wait,
Anyone.
I'm sorry, anyone. Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I did the, but if your product's for everyone, it's for, yeah.
yeah.
And they said that's why it's for anyone. Um,
Yeah,
So what needs to change and evolve in Scrum? Because we haven't had a new Scrum guide in a while. My
yeah,
understanding from conversations with people is there's no plans other
yeah,
than sort of the side ones that have come up to
yeah.
create a new version, a new standard. Scrum's got to evolve, right?
I think so. I think so. Definitely. That's what I'm saying. So imagine a world where, and I talked about it at Microsoft where we did 4 week sprints, being iterative and incremental. The
Hmm.
fastest you can go is 4 weeks. But now AI is by its inherent nature already iterative and incremental because now you can build a complete solution in like 10 seconds. And if it
Hmm.
doesn't work, you throw it away and you start again. And if it doesn't work, you throw it away and you start again, or you build on top of it. And those loops are those iterations are extremely rapid. So instead of having like 4 week iterations where you're going to slog through this in 50 sprints, you're going to do it in like 10 seconds a sprint, and you're going to do 50 sprints in like 5 minutes on a Monday morning. So in and of itself, AI is iterative and incremental in how it's used. So now the shift is into the human part of the process where they're inspecting and adapting how they're working with the AI, like how they're working as a pair or a pair programming team
Yeah.
on these iterations and increments. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I don't know the exact term. I know the AI community has their own terms for this, but in the old days, we would have called this like throwaway code, and
Hmm.
that's where prototypes were supposed to be. You created
Yeah.
something to test something, and you threw it away. It never worked out that way, but that's what it was
Right.
supposed to be. And now that's what AI is gonna make everything.
Okay. So, um, I had a conversation a couple of
Yeah,
interviews ago with David Bland, and we were talking about this stuff and the fact that you can
sure.
iterate and you can generate faster.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
How do we protect ourselves from getting drunk with that ability and just papering the walls with all kinds of slop that you created just because it was fast?
Yeah, there is that risk. So you still need that human intellect involved in the process so that
Okay.
you can see that slop and then intervene, right? So my best example I can come up with, and I've thought about this, is that eventually in a session in Claude, it gets to the slop point of the process. So you've
Yeah.
had this really long session that's lasted weeks. Eventually Claude will go insane and start to hallucinate. So what do? You start up a brand new session is essentially what it comes down to, starting it off from scratch or giving
Reset.
it yeah, like a cleaned up kind of context. And so
Yeah.
that's why they have forking in Claude and stuff. So I think that's where the human part of the pair really comes into play. They can see the slop and the AI can't, and that's when you intervene.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Another question about AI. I
Yeah,
interviewed Claudio a few weeks ago, and he had given a
right.
presentation about having AI be a part of his Scrum team,
Yeah, yeah,
like as a team member, right? And that is
right.
something I think a lot of people aren't adjusted to the idea of that as like hiring digital employees and potentially having a scrum master that's completely digital, which makes my head want to like snap right off. But what room is there in the future, do you think, for agents or some sort of AI persona to become part of a trusted part of a team?
I think there's I think it's happening right now. It's not a
Okay.
question of, when it'll happen. It's not a question of if it will happen, it's like how fast that'll happen, maybe, perhaps is a better way to say it. I mean, I'm already integrating AI into my, like, professional life in terms of, like, how I engage the community. So I'm using AI to help me mostly around as a thing to bounce ideas off, and
Mhm.
then I'm kind of like a rambler. That's the kind of person I am. I ramble and I go in many diverse ways. And I so basically what I do is I ramble to my AI and I ask it to summarize and interpret what I said. And it tells me back what I said in a way that I can understand and says it better than I say it myself.
Okay.
So it's like I'm reinterpreting my own thoughts now using AI in my own personal development process. So I can certainly see a future where developers are figuring out in what ways they can have an AI team member that's effective. Not every team member, whether they're human or not, is effective at every single thing on a team. So
Yeah.
right. So you have to figure out how to use or how to work with that person or AI the best way you can in your team. So it's going to be a learning process for everyone. And the fascinating thing to think about is if you have AI team members, they're going to be doing the same exact thing, like how to work with the humans more effectively, aren't they? I think they're going to be. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure.
Okay, I hadn't thought about that. I was thinking when you were talking about, in addition to kind of, crystallizing what you're trying to say when you're kind of rambling into the machine, that I would hope that it also, I mean, I know that it does, has the ability to say, "And here's the 3 things that you totally overlooked or tried to hide from that you need to
Yeah,
have answers to if you're gonna be successful in this conversation." And it
it
is
could.
awesome
Yeah,
for that.
right. And I I think, myself personally, I rely more on the other end of the spectrum, which is it kinda tells me back what I said in a way that makes me reflect on what I said and either reinforces it or makes me
And you're,
think,
like, all cringy about it.
yeah, maybe I'm not right because what I just said sounded really dumb, you know?"
Yeah, okay. Um,
Yeah,
what about, I mean, have you seen anything where AI is developing or there's any work being done for it to develop an ability to read team dynamics or how people are engaging and kind of, if there, let's say there's a scrum master and if
yeah,
I had a Padawan, I would want them to be paying attention to like that guy in the meeting because watch his
correct,
facial expressions and tell me what's happening.
right,
Um,
yeah.
can it provide you with that kind of intel based on what it's picking up from meetings and stuff or engagement?
It definitely can, but right now it's not visual, so
Okay.
it can do it through, basically, through,
Text.
audio and text and stuff like that, and it
Okay.
can detect trends and just based on, like, words you use. There are even packages and platforms out there that, like, let you customize like how much a person on the team, a human person on the team, can be sarcastic versus non-sarcastic. So you
Mhm.
can be like, "Hey, Dave, I'm going to configure you as particularly sarcastic, so when the AI picks
Yeah.
up like how you feel, it knows you're not freaking out." Now, I do think there is a future where AI is using like computer vision type stuff, where it's using video to figure that
Reading
out.
micro expressions.
Exactly, reading micros. I think that's like if somebody hasn't already done that and it's getting ready for release or it's already released and I just don't know about it, I
Yeah.
guarantee you it's in
It's coming.
development right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what do you think needs to happen with the Scrum Alliance? I mean, for a long time, the Scrum Alliance,
Yeah.
and I'm an active volunteer with the Scrum Alliance. I do a ton of stuff.
Right.
Um, it had uh, a level of prominence that I think it doesn't quite hold anymore the way that it used to, or maybe it holds it differently.
Sure.
What do you think needs to happen for the Scrum Alliance to climb back to the top of the mountain?
I think it needs to be a visionary organization which listens to its electorate and helps guides us towards a brighter new future. So, if anything, right now, I think the Scrum Alliance should be listening to its membership more than ever, because I know there are brilliant people in the Agile and Scrum community who have like ideas that go way beyond even what I'm thinking and talking about right
Hmm.
now with AI. And I think the Scrum Alliance needs to listen to those people. I think they need to perhaps invite those people in to help figure out where we're headed.
Okay.
So I think we need to be more visionary than ever.
Okay. I mean, there's also a strong contingent of voices that
Yeah.
are stuck on, no, we have to go back to basics. We have to get everyone back into a room. We can't have, I mean, it's like they want to go back to the horse and buggy. It's like, but we have cars now. Um,
You know, I mean, I get it. Those underlying values and principles, I definitely hold them dear too, but that doesn't mean we should let them define strictly every single time our practices. Like,
okay.
we value face-to-face communication, but that doesn't mean we have to fly everybody into like the same meeting room anymore. I mean, we're having a face-to-face conversation right now here over
Yeah.
the internet. You're in Texas and I'm in Sydney, Australia. So, I think I think for the people in the Agile community who are discouraged or don't know where to start or are frustrated or perhaps angry about where we're headed in this brave new world,
Yeah.
I've had all those feelings. Remember those 5 stages of grief I went through?
Yeah.
I went through all those 5 stages too. And now I'm on the other side and I'm like, I just accept it. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
just
It is
gotta
what it
like,
is.
it is what it is. I gotta inspect and adapt. And that's what I'm gonna invite all those people to do too, is to turn it into something constructive and figure out how you're gonna contribute and benefit from it moving forward. Because it ain't stopping.
Right. I think it's definitely that thing about, what got you here won't get you to the next place. I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of people, but I like the place I was. I mean, I loved it when I was teaching like 6 classes a month and making a lot of money,
Right.
but that
It's
doesn't
great.
work anymore. Things are different now. Um, what is one thing you want people to know? I mean, you did in your post. One of the things you said was the most
Yeah.
important thing is just go vote, right? If you're a member of the Scrum Alliance, go vote.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
what is? I'm assuming that most of them aren't familiar with the candidates, right? What is the one thing that you
Mhm.
want people to know about you as they go to decide who to vote for?
Yeah. I think for me, the thing I like people to understand about me is that I call myself a realistic optimist. So in my own personal life, my own personal headspace, I am by nature positive. But I also try to temper that with realism, right? Because I don't want to be like so positive, like it's like toxic. Like I think everything's gonna be perfect every single time and great without like putting effort into making sure it's great. So what
Okay.
I'm getting at is that try to think about the future with a positive intent and then still be realistic and mitigate risks, but always move forward with a positive intent because in my experience, if you're not positive, it kind of leads to a sucky life.
Yeah. Well, there's portions of my life where I just can't get to the optimistic part, or
Yeah,
portions of my life in my country that I can't get to the optimistic part. But someday things will be
someday.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
get it.
What do you think? This will be probably the last question.
Sure, sure.
Maybe I'll add one more. But
Okay.
what should members expect from a board? Because that's always like a weird thing. There's a board of directors. They
Yeah,
don't have interaction with them. They don't know what they do.
yeah,
Um, as just, my daughter's a member of the Scrum Line. She's been certified since she was 11.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what should she expect out of a board?
Yeah, I think what you want from a great board, in my opinion, are people who will ask questions. And they might be tough questions. They might be questions that are around sensitive topics. But I think they need to be asked in ways that are thoughtful and positive and are respectful, because if you are asking questions in like an aggressive confrontational way, all that leads to is more conflict. And coaches like us, we always talk about like, don't avoid conflict, but you want conflict to be healthy. And I mean, I think that's what we want in a
Yeah.
board, is where we have healthy conflict. Now, they might have that conflict internally, but then what I want to see from that board is I want to know that the people that we've put there, because I trust them, have had those healthy conflicts, and then
Okay.
they share like a united front that's like visionary and helps us lead forward. So if you have conflict that spills out
Yeah.
and is present for everyone to see, that's not good, because it kind of compromises our progress towards a strategic visionary future.
Okay. Cool. So the voting ends on the 24th of June. So I'm hopefully gonna post this on the 15th. So you got about
Yep,
9 days left to vote. You got an email somewhere in your inbox, maybe in your spam folder from the Scrum Alliance.
that's right.
But you need to go vote and make your voice heard.
Yeah,
And um, my last question for you is: so how long you been in Australia?
11 years.
What is the food that you miss the most?
Oh, wow. That's the thing I miss a lot about America, the foods
Yeah.
especially. Uh, Probably all the different types of Mexican food, like the Mexican food, Cal-Mex, Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
You know, the spices here don't quite taste the same.
Okay.
I know it's not me, but like a lot of the Mexican food in Australia tastes vaguely Asian, and I think it's because of our proximity to,
Sure.
Asia, Southeast Asia, and China. So boy, when I go back to the States, that's the first thing I'm looking for, is some. I don't care what type of Mexican restaurant it is, that's where I'm going.
I totally, yeah. When we were in New York for a really long time, and the thing I missed from
Yeah,
this part of the country was the Tex-Mex. Like I just
yeah.
miss being able to get that stuff so bad. It's the salsa, especially.
You're killing
All
it.
right. So if people want to get in touch with you and learn more about you and the work that you do and how you're implementing AI, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, I have my own website, alexsloley.com, but I'm
Okay.
also totally engaged on LinkedIn. If you find me and message me, I'll actually ping you back. So those are the two primary methods to contact me, LinkedIn and my personal website.
All right. Cool. Well, man, thank you very much for doing this. First time
Yeah,
I've ever
thank you.
interviewed a candidate for anything. So hopefully that went okay. But
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
hope
good.
everybody will vote.
Yes, please vote. I mean, it's that just shows you're getting engaged in the process, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One step closer to joining the circus.
Thanks, Dave.